All right, so we're recording now, I think. I don't see.
Yes, we are. I could see it. Yeah, it's just recording on the top left corner. So we are recording, Gene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing things that I can't see right now. All right, let's go back here. There are, as again, the platform is Exordo event, but it uses Cisco as a base. I mean, everything that Exordo does is based out of Cisco. And so Exordo has set this up so we have different roles. The attendee is everybody who's attending. So if you've paid registration, then you're on the safe list. If you've been scholarshiped in because of the commitments that you have with the society, you're on the safe list as well. So anybody who's paid and anybody who's been scholarshiped is on the safe list. The attendees, the host, the presenter, stage manager, administrator, and Exordo may be lurking in the background, although we're wondering about the timing, and because it'll be midnight in Ireland where Exordo is hosted. The attendee is just a general member attending. You'll have opportunities to chat, and not sure about much beyond that. So in a technical session, you'll be able to pose questions and chat with others that are attending the session. The host role, I kind of liken that to a session chair, but they'll basically be the administrator for the session. They're not the administrator for the site or for the event. They're administrator for that session. The presenter is the presenter, and the host will give the presenter the ability to share screen and to talk. Stage manager is like a track chair. They are basically in the background and looking at the administrative levels and opening sessions for the entire day. Pretty much going to be day duties for the stage managers as we get those filled out. And so they're kind of there, but probably not real visible to the attendee or to the presenter, but they will be attended. They'll be attentive to the host role and open up sessions, close sessions, and the host role will take care of that. Administrators have that big superpower. They can do about anything they want to. But again, if you're not on the safe list, you cannot access the site. You can look around it, but you cannot access it. And then Ian will probably demonstrate more of that later. The host is responsible for the live session. So they're going to enable presenters and panelists, and those are two different things. You have to be a panelist to be a presenter. I got a slide, I'll explain that later. So let me not get too far. And so they'll enable audio and video for both the presenter and the panelist. So theoretically, the stage manager will open up a session for the host an hour before start time. And we're going to request that presenters and panelists show up, and I think it's 15 minutes or 10 minutes before the session. So when we make sure we got all our ducks in a row, and when the session starts, then the host will allow everyone to attend or to come in. Probably have a little minute or two gap before a session is scheduled to start, so we make sure everybody gets there as necessary. Let's see, attendee access session start time. Okay, so I pretty much touched on that. The attendee won't have a video, won't have a microphone during a session, but they will have chats. It does default to everyone. So if you want to say something specifically, it's just like a chat in Zoom. You identify them in the chat box and you can contact that specific person. Getting their attention is the same issue as it is with Zoom or GoToMeeting. They may or may not see it. So as you're watching as an attendee, you look down there at that chat icon and watch for it to highlight. It's either to you or it's to everyone in the group. So there is a Q&A set. There's a difference in Exordo. You can ask a question in the chat box, or you can ask a question in the Q&A box. There are two different boxes. And again, you can direct those questions, either the chat box or the Q&A box, to everyone or to some panelist specifically, particularly the Q&A box. And you can ask someone individually in the chat box a question. So you have to kind of think, okay, I have two options here. What's going to be more advantageous for me and for the panelist or the presenter and for the attendee? Do I want to do this as a Q&A question, or do I want to send it through the chat? So you kind of think through that process and respond accordingly. I would suggest if it's to a presenter or to a panelist, use the Q&A box. If you've got something that's for the general good of everybody, then send it out on the chat box. The Q&A box goes directly to the host. The panelists, presenters will not see that, so the host then will ask the question of the panelist. And some of you have been on Zillow and you know that some of the host systems are set up that you can do that as well. But again, if you're like me, you're in PowerPoint, I can't see the chat box when I'm in full screen presentation mode. Now the host also has an expel option in Exordo event. So if there's an unruly person, somebody that tries to take over, take charge, that's not in, doesn't have that capability, we have the ability as a host to expel that person from the session, and probably can make that so that it's for the entire conference. I'm not sure about that one. We'll learn more as we go along. All right. Host promotes panelists or presenters so that they can enable and share the screen content. Well, duh. The presenters, there's some difference in this, and this is kind of behind the scenes for just attendees who are not presenting, but for the presenters and panelists that are with us today, there is a slight difference. Presenter may be a panelist, but panelist does not have to be a presenter. But a panelist will sit and they'll have specific spaces and times. The host will enable them as a panelist to talk, and then the next panelist will talk, and then the next panel, and that will be transferred by the host. But the Q&A and the chat features will stay open for the attendees the whole time. And only presenters have annotation options. So there's no emojis, no hand clapping or anything we can show them. That's unfortunate, but those kind of accoutrements with an event platform doubled the price that we're paying for Exordo. So we cheaped out, yes, but trust me, we had to cheap out in order to make these things possible for us. Now, Exordo has some really good help screens. You go to Exordo event/help, and there's a plethora of those things. So let's see if this one will open. Okay, so here it is, using at a glance. This is a good intro to using the event space. And I was trying to look if I could back up out of this. Okay, so navigating at a glance page. When you get to this, the first time you log on, want to see things, you go to event space, which is a little menu item right up here, drop down, and you can get into.
Hey, Gene.
Yeah.
Gene, sorry to interrupt, but once you go to a different screen, Zoom can't keep sharing, so you have to share it again.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I learned that this morning. I got to find that button to do that. And I think I have to
stop the share. Yeah.
End that show. Stop that share and then share again. And here we are.
Yep.
Now, this morning I could go back to the presentation and it would let me flip flop back and forth, but we'll see. All right. I'll get better at this when I grow up. All right, and so when you get to this space, let me start back up here. Click on event space, and the first thing that you see is the calendar view. And then you can click on a day, and it'll drop down and go to that day and show you all the sessions that are scheduled for that day. You can click on a session to get into it, and away you go. So once you log in and get familiar, it gets pretty intuitive, but there is a great opportunity here. Delegates, reviewers, authors, group chair, not ability to go back to the main menu. So that's there. Okay, I would encourage you, if just go to the help screens and kind of bounce around on those and see what else you can do. Now, let's see, screen share, stop as share. Okay, let me go back to sharing. Okay. And I want to share that again. So you're seeing PowerPoint again, yes?
Yep.
Okay. That's one. Let's see, the next, I'll keep it in this view right here. Register 10 sessions. You cannot get on the safe list unless you're registered. The only way you can access information on Exordo is to be on the safe list. So if you haven't registered, you're thinking about it, please let me be encouraged to do that, to register. Nothing to it. If you have an Exordo account and you're an author and you're paid registration, you use the same login information that you normally would use. To get into Exordo also gets you into Exordo events. So if you're an author or have been an author within the last, I don't know how far back, since we've been using Exordo, your login credentials are still the same. You can ask me how I know because that's how it worked for me. So if you have not been at Exordo again, in order to get to the event, then you'll have to register that Exordo account. Just remember your password, it is the same. And let's see if we can go here. This is not an easy process. Now I have to go. Oh, this is nasty. Okay, so I'm gonna have to share this again. Yes? You can't see anything but PowerPoint, or can you see the page?
I could see the browser.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
see the page.
All right, so now it's working. Using at a glance, event space. That's the same one I had before, wasn't it? So it didn't change. I go back here. It's not the screen I want. Let's go here. Okay, so create an account, pretty much just straightforward. So this will be the screen that will come up when you log in the first time. Again, if you've logged into Exordo, not Exordo event, but Exordo, then that's all you have to do. Let's see. Okay, we talked about that. All right, operating systems, good to have Windows 7 or up. If you're on a Mac, OS X at 10.13 and up. Now, Exordo recommends Chrome or Firefox. I have Chrome or Firefox on this Mac, but I've been able to access it readily with Safari. But I think the latest version is Safari. So it does work, but their recommendation is Chrome or Firefox. Now, if you're coming in from a company, recognize that oftentimes companies will have blocks on WebEx. So you may have to go out and go into your personal account or log it in from a separate computer than your work computer. That's something you're going to have to take care of. Here's the forewarned, let me say it that way. For presenters, if there's a possibility you can hardwire rather than using Wi-Fi, please consider doing that so that we have an assured signal coming from you. Let's see, I guess here's all the technical specs for the geeks with us. Thank you very much for your contributions, but browsers, we talked about that, system specs, dual, it's the same stuff you have if you're an instructor, and all the teachers know that their universities say we need this for a minimum for university stuff. Okay, you must download the WebEx events. When you log on to Exordo event the first time through the links that are out there already, you'll have to download the WebEx platform. It takes minimal space and it takes minimal time, or at least it did for me, to get that up and running. And there should not be any rocket science about that. But, back to the help screens that are out there. All these things come from that. I'm not going to mess with the links too much because Ian is going to do her demo here shortly. If you need technical help during a session, they may be on chat, but there is a link, and all this information is available on those help screens. You should be able to see them on the screen as a chat person, but again, they're like 5 hours ahead of us. So we start at noon, it's 5 o'clock. We finish at 4, it's 9 o'clock. And so their timing is way off, and they're going to work their business hours, but maybe we can get support there. All right, Ian's going to talk more about this. Here's the link. We're going to have some rehearsals for presenters and panelists. And so there's a link that's available that we can put these slides up if you want them too, but you can write down asem.org rehearsal 2020. It'll take you to the schedule of sessions. This is a ASEM web page link. And here's all the sessions that have been planned coming up next week. And some days there's 2 sessions, so we can try to get everybody from right coast to left coast to Alaska, to China, to Belgium, to England engaged and get squared away on being able to do their jobs as presenters and panelists. Again, anyone on the safe list can attend. If you're not on there, you can't. Okay, any questions that Ian and Ghana can answer?
Jean, can you make me the host so I can start sharing the screen on how to log in and all that? Then maybe sure. Question will come after that.
I can do that as soon as I can get the computer to say you've done good, boy. See, I've lost my stuff. Participants, there's what I'm looking for. No questions? I must have done a great job. Ted's almost smiling at that one.
Okay,
all right, Ian.
Yes, can everybody see my screen that say ASEM 2020 is restricted?
I got it.
Everybody see it? All right, so you have to be on the safe list in order to log in. If not, when you go to event.asem.org asem2020.exordo.com, you are going to see this page. So I'm going to log in using a secondary account that I have so that it's showing you as an attendee what you're going to see. Now that I have logged in, this is the first page you're going to see, and that's a login page. And if you scroll down, you can see the calendar overview. And then this is our engineering manager of the year, a brief summary of his background. That's the front page. Now, you can go to at a glance, and that gives you an idea on what you can expect from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Wednesday, these are all the stages, which is the live sessions that we will have. And if you hover over any of these, it's going to have a little bit of pop-up, and you can review what is in there. So for example, if I want to see what is this session, I hover it over and I can see that, okay, these are the topics that will be presented in this particular session. So this is an overview. Now, the next thing I want to show you is that you can go to Discover if you don't really know what you want to see yet. If you go to Discover, there's some, highlight of some presentations. You can scroll by and you can check more. And then the same thing with the workshops and also the panel sessions that we have. All right, everybody good so far? Any question?
You might notice that the sessions are named after 14,000, 14ers in Colorado?
That's the stages.
The stages
are named by the peaks in Colorado.
Yep. I think those are 14ers, what they call 14ers.
Yep, they are all 14. We are above 14,000. They're 14ers. Yep.
Feet. Yes. Now, if you are a presenter,
Ian?
Yes.
Ted, is there a way to see which of these peer-reviewed proceedings have full papers?
Yes, you will be able to find out. For example, right now it's not available yet, but let's say if I click on this particular paper, just for example, I click on this particular paper, it will tell you who is the author. And if there is a paper, you will be able to see the paper here. We are still doing the final check for formatting and all that. That's why you cannot see the paper just yet. And now, since we are in one of the presentation, you can see who are the authors. This is an abstract, and this is a topic. You will see if they have a paper. Before the conference begins, if you have a question already after you review the paper, you can ask the author here. You can post a question and ask the author. And also any question that have been posted will show up here for the presentation itself. Now, if you find a presentation that you really like and you want to go, on the right, it will tell you ways to watch. And that's the day and which stage is going to be. That's a live stage. In this case, that's a Pikes Peak stage. And it's from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, if you want, you can go click view the stage. All right, I'm going to open it on a different one. View the stage. And on this stage, you can see that this is Pikes Peak. And then for this particular stage, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, these are the sessions that will be on for this stage. And if you hover over any of those, you're going to get a pop-up and they will show you everything else within that particular session. Now, once you're in this particular presentation, it will also have some suggested content based on the tracks that it is in. So you can just click on it and see the suggestion in that case. And then if let's say that you are not entirely sure where everything is and you want to find out when you are presenting, let's say that we're going to use Ted. I can search for his last name or even the first name. Sometimes it will come up and it will show you that Ted's presentation, this is a title of his presentation. And he's also happened to be a session chair for one of the session. Now, if you click on his presentation, it will bring you directly to the presentation itself. And you can see that he's the presenting author and Neil is on it as well. And then go to the stage. This is Wyndham Peak, 10 a.m. So go to the stage. And that's the Wyndham Peak stage. And if you want to know what is in that session, and Ted's session is on Wednesday, 10 a.m. No, is it Thursday or Wednesday, 10 a.m.?
No, it's one to the right.
Yeah, Thursday, 10 a.m. And if you click on it, click on that particular session. Come on. And it will show you that this session is chaired by Ted. And these are the 3 presentations that will be in that particular session. Any questions so far on how to navigate these? Oh, we're good.
Jimmy's got a question. Go ahead, Jimmy.
So Ian, just to make sure, so on the day of, so let's say I'm a session chair on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern. So when I log in and I go to my session, then I click on view stage and there'll be a live link that I click on, which is the equivalent of the Zoom link. And then I will be in the session.
So I will show that in a bit on how to get to that live session.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So now on that day, all right, on that day, if you already find out, for example, let's say that you don't really know which session you're in and you completely are not sure where everything is, and then you just find out, okay, in this case, I will search for, let me search for Ghana's presentation in this case. And let's say that this is the one that I want to look at. Let's say that Ghana needs to present and he knows at least that it starts at 12:30. By 12:15, he can come in and search for his name and just go to that stage directly. So if you go to that stage, all right, this is where the stage is going to be. Right now, it says that the stage is offline because we are not there yet. But once the day is on, when the stage is online, it will show a different view, which I'm going to lead you there in just a bit. But that's how you can get to where you need to present. All right. And then once you get there, I'm going to show you the rehearsal. This is what Jean was talking about earlier. If you want to try out your system to make sure that it worked, you can go to the rehearsals. And in this case, this rehearsal, when you see it in this color and it say click to join enable, means that this session is live right now. As a presenter, I can click on it, I can go. Or even attendee, if they say click to join, means that you can go. Now, to show you one that is not live, this rehearsal is offline. So when the stage is not on yet, this is what you will see. So I'm going to go join the rehearsal that Ghana is running right now so that you can see how it works. Once you click, it will pop up and ask you to go through a WebEx, sort of a WebEx link. The first time, you will need to download something because this is not a regular WebEx, meeting. This is a WebEx event. So since I'm using Firefox, it's asking me to do that. And I have to put the extension on it. And I'm starting the WebEx. And once there, I have to click to say join event. And I'm there in the event now. And I'm as an attendee. I'm not a panelist, not a presenter, not a host, just an attendee. This is all I will see. I will see that Ghana is a host. And then there's no other panelists here. If you click on participant, you can see the panelists here, attendee, but there's nobody else in this case. And Ghana, can you make me a panelist so that the audience can see what it is?
Just did.
All right, thanks. So in this case, now that I'm a panelist, I can see who are the attendees. And on top of that, there is also the Q&A and the chat function that you can use. So Q&A and chat function both are available to regular attendees. But the Q&A question, the attendee cannot see it. Only the chat is available to all attendees. Now, at this point, since I'm not the presenter, I'm just a panelist, my share button is grayed out, meaning I cannot share anything. Ghana, can you make me the presenter now? All right, now I'm the presenter, I can share screen at this point. So once I click share, I can pick the content I want to share and go from there. And I can also make sure that I need to unmute myself, so on and so forth. So that's how you get to the WebEx page and participate in all these. Now, I saw that there was a question there on whether the presentation file of the author and the panelists before the conference. So for all the presenters, we already sent an email out on Wednesday asking them to make sure to upload their presentation file through Exordo by this coming Wednesday, which is a week before the conference. The idea is that we will let the presenters share their screen and control the presentation while they are presenting. However, in the event, if the internet is too slow for them to share screen and share the audio at the same time, then the session chair or the host, the stage manager, have the option to pull out the slide and control the presentation and let the presenter just share the audio. That is the idea for that. So other question on how to navigate these?
Ian, just to download that the add-on to Firefox that you had shown a couple of minutes ago, do we need administrator access to that? Because at CSUN, they don't give me administrator access on the laptop. So if it's something that needs administrator access, I'll do it in advance.
That's a part that I do not know, because each
Uh,
university have different, different control,
I'll
admin
check with
control.
them.
Yes,
yeah,
and that.
I
Yeah,
can
go ahead.
answer that, I think. So, Jimmy, mostly most of these software do what's called a profile install, which means it's installing on top of your profile where you do not need administrative rights. Because I do have a university system that's controlled too, but I can use WebEx fine because I was able to install it. Yeah, most of these software like Zoom and Exordo, these things, they do a profile install which doesn't need admin rights. That's
But
that's my understanding, but I'll definitely advise you to try it before.
Okay, I'll check.
so my recommendation is, especially if you're going to be hosting it, if you are going to be the stage manager, or you might become a host by being the session chair, we are going to send out email to session chair and stage manager next week. I would strongly recommend that you attend one of the rehearsal to make sure that your system would run, because we can never know until you run it. So I strongly recommend attending the rehearsal, and we have all the rehearsal sessions up there available. That will be my recommendation. And then there is another question that Eve. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, more question?
No, I said yes. I definitely will attend a session. Thanks.
All right. And there was another question on Eve, and how can two presenters both present one paper? In that case, the first thing we need to make sure is that both presenters are on the safe list, meaning both presenters are registered for the conference so that they can actually access it. And then if both presenter wants to present, only one person can control the advancing the slide and not advancing the slide, because we have to move the presenter capability, and only one person can be a presenter at a time with a WebEx host. So only one person can advance a slide. Now, if both presenters want to present, one thing that can be done is that we can make both presenters panelists. Then the panelists are allowed, the microphone function for panelists are enabled, whereas just a regular attendee, the microphone function will not be enabled. So in that case, if you have more than one presenter wanting to present, once you go to the WebEx, at least 10 minutes before the start of the session, please let the stage manager know. Once you enter, the stage manager will be the host. Please let the stage manager know that you will have two presenters, and ask the stage manager to make both of you a panelist in that case. Then you will be able to present that way. Other question on this? All right, it seems like no other question on this. So bottom line is, please do make sure that you try it out in one of the rehearsal session. And if none of the rehearsal time work for you, please send an email to iac@asem.org and we can make arrangement from there. All right, Jean, I'm going to stop the sharing and pass the host back to you.
Okay.
All right, me.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ghana. And let's see, I really don't need to share a screen. I can just chat, because unless there's further questions, that's the material we plan to cover today. I did have a trivia question or two if you're interested.
Gene?
Sure.
Before the trivia, I would like Jimmy asked on the recording, I am more interested in being able to access the slide presentation so that I can double check things by using the links.
Okay, and I have sent that to Angie to get it posted, and so we'll see if we can't get that up today.
Thank you.
So that's already in progress. Other questions?
And Ted, so most of the rehearsal sessions, I think either Ian or I would be the stage manager. So if you have a sample set of slides and you want to, like, when you come to the rehearsal, you want to just try and share your screen to see if that works, that's fine. One of us can help you do that too.
And I gotta say this. There's just been a tremendous amount of work going on to this. I had heard that going virtual was a tremendous load. It's bigger and better and stronger and faster and requires more attention than I was even led to believe. So I got to give props to Ian and Ghana and Jim Schreiner and Jim Enos and Heather. And there's just a cast of people that have just been busting to get this ready and get it up and running. So, you know, keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because as this gets closer, they're going to need all the strength they can get. Okay, so here is the trivia question. This is indirectly related to ASEM. So, thinking caps on. What U.S. city claimed to be the world's sock capital? Still does, but in 2007, China superseded them.
Can you give a hint with what region?
Yes, this is indirectly related to ASEM.
Gene.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that Brian's not all over this. Do you know who it is, Brian?
I don't. I know I passed Fruit of the Loom in Kentucky, but I mean, if it's Huntsville, then I'm amazed.
No, it's not Huntsville, but you're in the right, should I say it, state of mind.
So I'll throw it out there. Birmingham?
No. This town, I'll give you another hint. This, pardon me? Who said that? Say it again. I heard something. Now they've gone bashful on me. Did anybody hear what was said? Pardon me?
Fort Payne, Fort Payne, Alabama.
Fort Payne, Alabama claimed to be the sock, still does claim to be the world's sock capital. They had 7,000 employees and 100 mills making socks. And of course, the way things have changed, now China makes more socks, but I think Fort Payne still is the US leader in sock manufacturing. So the next trivia question is, what country group was founded in Fort Payne? Country singing group. Everybody should get this one.
Oh, Alabama.
That's the state. What's the group? Oh, it is Alabama.
It is Alabama.
So on behalf of Fort Payne, Alabama, happy vIAC to you.
See, and I had to move to Texas to appreciate that.
If there's no other business for this town hall, I suggest we adjourn and let's get prepared for the vIAC. Please, if you have any issues about manipulating Exordo, log on, set up your credentials, register, get on the safe list, and go to the rehearsals. I intend to participate probably in more than one rehearsal. I do give props to Exordo. Once you mess around with the system a little bit, it gets very user-friendly, but there's a little bit of a learning curve to get that level of comfort. Let me check the chats one more time, see if there's anything else happening there.
Hey Gina, I had a quick question, just
Yes,
just
sir.
a general one. When dealing with the normal conference, I guess in traditional manner versus this virtual conference,
Mhm.
how has the submissions been in general?
Ian, can you give the hard numbers on that?
Well, this year, actually, we did not see quite a drop in the initial abstract submission. You know, it's still hovering around 200. And this year, we had a little bit more rejected paper, but the number of presentation this year, it seems to be, I would say about 10 less than our usual for the presentation. The number of presentations we have is about 10 less than our normal.
And we were soliciting papers before we really were impacted by the virus. And then once impacted, then everybody started reassessing where they were. And it really did take us a little bit of time at headquarters to get our legs up under us with this whole virtual concept. We were trying to negotiate with the host hotel, which we will be at in 2021 if everything works like we all hope it will. And so we had some COVID impact and we had some logistics impacts, but numbers, I think the last time I checked, were about 166 registrations for the conference, which is a little bit off, but you know, it's going to be good. It's going to work. We're going to learn even as we go forward. And we're already starting thinking about 2021 and getting to Denver. But again, it's all about this virus and the impact it is on travel and on personal safety for attendees and for the host city. For what it's worth, right now we're planning on being in Tampa in 2022 and Austin in 2023. So if your program wants to host, let's talk about 2024. Because I intend to take a cruise in May, so I'm counting on the virus being under control. Okay, Angie, you were close with your guess. Anything else? Very good. You guys have a safe, quiet weekend, and remember, happy vIAC to you.
Stay safe out there.
Hashtag vIAC.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.